Oh my goodness. One Piece chapter 1161 was incredible. This entire flashback has been amazing, but as we get more chapters, it just keeps building and keeps getting better. The cover page, too, is incredible. I love the close in. We have the crane in the background, and we're trying to save poor sweet Chopper. Usopp's trying to save him. Nami is not Nami, her name is Robin, is genuinely so concerned. Jinbei's taking a nap. And then we have the close-ups of them. Robin looks adorable, as well as Nami and Luffy then fighting over the newly rescued Chopper. Someone seems to have thrown a Mihawk plushie at Zoro, but obviously the detail that I love so much about it, other than it just being chaotic and fun and sweet, I love that Luffy and Nami are clinging to the plushies that mean the most to them. You know, Belmare, her sister. I think that's the wizard that taught her weather stuff way back in the time skip. And Luffy has Shanks, his brothers, Dadan, you know, like a big collection of people that have been meaningful in his life. And Buggy's there. I didn't do it. Oda did. There's no reason for him to be here. He doesn't fit in any of this. Yet, Oda loves Buggy as much as I do. You just have to accept it too. Anyway, One Piece chapter 1161 was an incredible chapter start to finish. Oda is doing so much with these characters in such a condensed period of time. First of all, we continue to despise the Celestial Dragons, where we have this horrible manhunt that's taking place on this island, but we have pirates coming in and infiltrating the island and setting everything on its head. We have Garp showing up and setting everything on its head again. We have so much chaos happening here, and what is the Celestial Dragon that we're focused in on concerned about? The fun has been ruined, which is the same thing that Garling said, but this one is pointing the finger at the people trying to protect them, which, you know, they could stop doing that. That would be fine with me. The people trying to protect them, and he's like, you're gonna be held responsible. The guy goes, I'll be held responsible for the items. Yes, I'll make sure that all of the prizes are collected. He's like, no, you'll be held responsible for depriving us of a good time. And then what's the next panel Oda shows us? It's a bunch of people lined up with targets on their backs and arrows sticking out of one of us, just really reminding us exactly what this good time looks like and how despicable this person is. Now, once again, Dragon comes out of this chapter looking incredible, still protecting these children, clinging to them, trying to get them out of here in any way he can. There seems to be some pretty big miscommunication going on here. Maffy is getting orders from someone to collect the babies, and Maffy only thinks that there's one. I found him. It's a sailor carrying a baby. So Maffy is really just not paying attention to her job. Shoots through Dragon. He's taken a pretty big injury here, and he drops the kids, and Maffy picks up one and thinks the job is done. Even in the communication, after she gets split in half and everything goes awry, the radio call that she sends says, babies, with an apostrophe S, babies safe and found, babies safe and sound too. Is that good? And Dragon's probably maybe dead. And then the responder says, babies, IES, safe and sound? Perfect! I know there's conversation around this laser beam that Maffy shoots out of her mouth. Like, what is it? Is this a devil fruit that we've seen before? Is Maffy the owner of a devil fruit that we know is going to belong to someone else later in the series? Or is this a pacifista thing? Like, what are we dealing with here? Honestly, I think Maffy's probably gonna get killed here. I mean, I know she's immortal, but she's immortal in the same sense as Somers, Killingham, and Gunko are, which is to say, not actually immortal. There is a way to defeat her. Rayleigh himself just explained to us right before this flashback that there is a way to defeat the God's Knights. And so we know that Maffy can be killed. It just is going to take Supreme King Haki, or potentially someone else can, you know, do whatever happened to Saturn. Which Saturn would be even a level higher than her of immortality, I would think. Anyway, the point is, she can be killed. And the fact that she was told to take two babies, and then failed so egregiously that there were two babies there, and she just wasn't paying attention, and thought that there was only one, and then there was the miscommunication over the comms, like, I don't know. There's going to be repercussions here. There's going to be some fallout for this, and I wouldn't be surprised if this is how she dies, and this is how the devil fruit becomes available, you know, to be picked up later. Anyway, Dragon, who was placed on God Valley not knowing what it was about, not knowing what was going down here, once he is faced with the reality of the horrors that he is a part of, he immediately, well, very quickly defects, much to his own. Like, this is risking his life, this is risking the lives of the people in his company. Like, it's at great personal cost that he's made the choice to get away from this, from participating in this horror, and to save these children. Even though it feels small, it's something that he can do, and it's some way to atone for however he has participated in this, which, as far as we're aware, seems to be as simple as being dropped on the island and given orders, and then very quickly no longer fulfilling those orders. So really, like, his guilt is minimal, but he's so horrified by it all that he wants to do anything he can to get himself and anyone else that he can help away. But even as he thinks that, you know, he's going to die here, he's like, I mean, I guess I deserve that. Enough people have died because of this sick game. It seems about right that I should too. I mean, really, his guilt is being shown on such high display. His disgust for everything happening here, and how extremely he rejects any part of it, and even takes the guilt on himself despite not being a part of, you know, he didn't choose to be a part of something like this. Matthew is cut in half with no effort whatsoever. Whitebeard is just traipsing through as if nothing happened. Big Mom furious at him. I almost died there. There's clearly rivalry between them already, because Big Mom's talking about settling the score. Do we need to settle our score now? And Whitebeard, he just keeps on. He's just like, no, it wasn't about you. There's an enemy right there. It's fine. But my favorite part of all of this, I love the bickering happening within Rock's crew. I think it's so funny and makes perfect sense for a crew that would have been collected this way. But not only that, my favorite part of this is the scale and the reflection of the scale. So you have Big Mom and Whitebeard towering over everyone, absolute giants, crazy word to use in the Elbaf arc, but they are like true, they're massive characters, and Dragon is just there on the ground like, what? But I love it too because it's so reflective of what he's going through as well. You know, he's in this situation, this God Valley situation, where he looks around him and it all feels too big, too insurmountable. It feels too much for him to really feel like he can survive or even know what to do in it. And then here he is faced with these towering, very powerful people, and he's looking up at them too and just like, what? Like, it's such a great reflection of the everyman that would encounter these powerhouses, but also, because Dragon is an everyman at this point in his character arc, but also reflective of this entire scenario that Dragon is going through, really in every direction. But like I said, I love the bickering. You know, you have Shiki also mad, like Kaido is mad at Big Mom. Everyone is bickering. Everyone's mad. But as soon as some fools try to attack them, the four come together. You know, it shows their dynamic really well, that it's kind of like early Straw Hats, that, you know, when there's downtime, they're constantly at each other's throats. They're always misunderstanding each other, but then when it comes time to it, they're going to cover each other and stand back to back, take care of what needs taken care of together. I like to think that that's kind of a similar vibe here. Yeah, they're constantly bickering. Yeah, their downtime is filled with a lot of dumb rivalry, but when it comes down to it, you know, they stand side by side. And also, it just looks cool. It just looks really cool seeing these four, especially the three, so big, so powerful, fighting next to each other. Like, this chapter, I'll talk about it at the end of the video, But this chapter delivers on so much. I'll talk about it. We'll get back to this. Dragon, once again, it all feels insurmountable. It all feels overwhelming. There's so many people dying. There's so much that he can't do. But what he can do is get out of there, not participate anymore, and save these children. Well, now he's lost the children. And once again, he's faced with what little he can do has become less. But rather than crumbling, rather than freaking out and only saving himself, he still scoops up the one child he can save, and he still tries to save him. Again, Dragon comes out of this looking so good. There's been so many opportunities for him to only take care of himself. There's been so many opportunities for him to do anything but what he's been doing, but he continues to try to do what he can, what little that is. Shanks does have a huge bump on the head. It seems like he's been knocked out, so, you know, he's definitely not going to cry in this scenario. Therefore, not giving away his location. And then we have Garp. First of all, he's getting the most dad lines that have ever existed in all of manga. I don't remember what the one was last chapter. It was something about like needing to chop up some vegetables. Now he's catching fish. In a minute he's gonna talk about steak. Like, the guy is like trying to deliver cool lines, but it's not going so well for him. But it's okay, because look at him. I think that it is not an accident that Oda is really focusing in on Dragon's acts of heroism that are small, they're slight, but they're impactful. A Dragon feeling so overpowered and hopeless, and everything seems too big and overwhelming, yet he does anything he can to save anyone, like the few people that are in his power to save. He looks around at everything around him and he's horrified, like he's truly disturbed. And then you have Garp coming in here, talking about fishing, like really taking in the glory of it all, really reveling in the fun of being able to hunt down some pirates that he wants to take down. I don't think it's an accident that Oda is depicting these two in such extreme different ways. What he's going to do with it, I still don't fully know. Right now, it looks like Garp at least had some knowledge of what was going on. It happens every 3 years. They don't really seem to try to hide it that much because they choose grunt Navy men to come in and participate in it, or like, you know, help them see it full on in action. So, you know, the word would spread pretty quickly within the Navy every 3 years when this happens, and all those people have just witnessed all of this, or one would think that the word would spread quickly. Garp at least knew something was happening that he didn't want to take part in, which is why he took a vacation at that time, and then he shows up seemingly having the best time of his life. So it's really not looking good for Garp right now, but I'm also anticipating more to be revealed here. Like, maybe his knowledge really was quite limited, and after he's done coming in and, you know, throwing fists for a little while, he'll stop for a second and look around and go, this is what's been happening? Or he knows good and well and has been trying to do something in the background to make a difference that we just haven't seen yet. Oda has done this plenty of times, where he introduces a character to us in a way that makes them look truly despicable, and then adds context, and that changes everything from the viewpoint of the reader. So at this point, I'm just taking it week by week. I'm not really losing my mind in any kind of direction just yet. I'm just waiting for Oda to finish what he's doing, and then see where that lands us. That said, I am going back and rereading a lot of Garp chapters and a lot of Dragon chapters and trying to kind of analyze some things. There might be a video on that if something comes of it all. But for the most part, I'm just waiting for Oda to finish talking, to finish displaying what he wants to display, and then we can analyze from there. And while I'm waiting for Oda to do those things, I'm enjoying the memes so much. Garp may be a monster, or he may be a hero, but until I know for sure, I'm just loving the memes. The poor lad is not getting it easy over these last couple of weeks, and it's so funny. Anyway, I also want it to be said that when Garp arrives, all three, Whitebeard, Big Mom, and Kaido, run. Well, Kaido, you know, he's still a little green, so he doesn't know what's good for him, but both Whitebeard and Big Mom are like, no, the three of us are not enough to make this quick. We're gonna get held up if we get caught up in a fight with Garp, which both makes him look amazing, because oh my goodness, he's even more powerful than I realized before, but also terrible because you've got all that power and you're standing by. So again, just waiting on Oda for this one. You know what else makes him look terrible though? For the memes, I have to point out that the lad, if he did know what was happening on God Valley and he did take vacation because he didn't want to take part in it, but he didn't warn his son. I mean, he could have killed him just here, just with the way he entered the scene. Not that he knew he was, you know, directly there, probably. But, I mean, it's still pretty funny. But also, look at him! I mean, what a fierce panel. Okay, final scene we have to talk about in this chapter is Shaki and Summers. Summers has become such... I mean, he was. From his introduction, well, maybe not the underwear introduction, from when he first started monologuing back on Elbaf, I thought he was an excellent villain, and he just continues to prove himself to be despicable. So easy to hate. I mean, like, he's gotta have one of the sickest minds I've read in a minute. How excited he gets, how much of a thrill he gets out of causing people pain. When he first arrives and everybody, you know, has been knocked out and he's irritated that they couldn't, that they were no match for her, and she says, it sounds like there are lots of pirates chasing trouble out there. Obviously she knows that there are lots of pirates chasing trouble over her. So his response, ugh, I hate a woman who knows her worth. And he slaps her and says, you're better when you're naive. So the way I take this is because Summers, his thrill, his excitement comes from people being harmed because of their love. Like the child in the tree and the dad who willingly threw himself onto thorns, very large thorns, in order to, you know, save his child. And to him, it's like, oh, this is amazing. That was an excellent use of love that would cause pain. And so for Shaki, one would think that he would like Shaki because she's so aloof and detached and everyone loves her, and so naturally, like, she causes a lot of pain and a lot of angst and a lot of heartache just by existing and just by, you know, the way she presents herself. So one would inherently think like he would like her a lot because of all the suffering that she causes. But I think the way I'm interpreting him is that the reason he despises her confidence here is because she can't be manipulated so easily. He can't use affection and love and emotions. He can't use her emotions against her so easily. He needs people to feel desperate in order for him to get the thrills that he gets off of twisting that desperation and ripping any hope from them. Anyway, so when she kicks him, he grabs her leg and smashes her leg, causing her a lot of pain, and this stoic confidence that she had when he walked in is now twisted into fear, which makes him that much more excited. It's also really interesting, his line that she's meant to belong to Garling. She's going to be Garling's prize. That's just destined to be. Which means that the more emotional choice, because everybody else also wants her, but it's going to be Garling, but the more emotional choice is to kill you to make sure that no one can have you. This makes sense because one, she's not easily emotionally manipulated, so she's no use to him, but two, it would cause so much more widespread pain to just remove her from everyone, which is interesting because one would think he wouldn't want to directly disobey Garling and take from Garling what he wants and wouldn't want to make Garling mad. Garling is above him. But this tells us a lot about the way his sick mind works, that the enjoyment that he gets out of causing emotional harm to people is higher than whatever kind of consequence would come if it were found out that he were the one to intentionally kill her. Now, of course, he doesn't plan on being found out. When one of the guards mentions, hey, bad idea, don't do that thing, he's like, you'll not talk about it and it'll be an accident. But like, you're still taking risk here. But the excitement over causing that kind of emotional pain usurps. It's just very interesting. He's a very interesting villain. We got another clash over here between Whitebeard and Roger. We just gotta throw in a bunch of awesome action and amazing panels in the midst of all this emotional turmoil that we're experiencing. as Summers is getting ready to kill her, which we all know she's not gonna die, you know, we've seen the future, we've seen present day stuff, we know she's gonna survive this, but like you're caught up in it, or at least I was caught up in it, and like his sick, twisted joy as he's getting ready to kill her, and then Rayleigh comes in, you know, with all the shading, in the great positioning, like he shows up right at the last moment, keeps that stoic look even as he takes Summers down for the moment, and tells her, sorry I took so long. I've come to get you, quoting back her note to him where she said, come and get me. And then she breaks down. She never shows emotion. She's always straight-faced, serious. No one can break her unless she's like smiling and being charming, but you know what I mean. She breaks down and he breaks down. Both of them so emotional because she's been through this, because of what almost happened, and because now they're finally together again. It's so good because we already know they're gonna end up together. There's no confusion here. As we're reading through this entire sequence, we know who ends up with who. And yet, Oda utilizes that rather than that being something that lowers the stakes and lowers our investment, or at least my investment. Instead, Oda uses that to his advantage, where he doesn't have to do all this like angsty buildup, and instead he can just cut to it, and we already have all that investment and grounding from previous instances with them, and we can just reap the rewards in this very economic storytelling. It's just like, I loved it all. It was so emotional, it was so intense. I was already on the edge of my seat because of Summers, and then Rayleigh comes in and it's like the crescendo, and then their emotional vulnerability at the end of it was just so good. This is a 10 out of 10 chapter for me. This chapter provided for us the intense emotional feeling of continuing to watch this manhunt, all this pain, all this destruction. We get to see Dragon continuing to fight to do what's good. We see Garp come in, and there's a bunch of opportunity for emotional analyzing and trying to figure out what's going on, and how we're supposed to judge Garp against Dragon. I mean, it's hard not to judge not to judge Garp against him in this kind of situation. We get the incredible clash of icons of the story, so many amazing fight panels, so many amazing action panels between characters that we have been wanting to see in action. God Valley hype isn't lost because of the intense emotions that Oda is exploring here, nor are the intense emotions squashed because the hype is given too much attention. He's balancing these things so well. And then on top of that, he also throws a love story in there. It's so well. Oh, this is such a good chapter. Please do chat with me more about it in the comments. I would love to continue talking to you. Please tell me what you thought about the chapter, what you think about all the things. There's so much to discuss. I'll see you again soon. Bye.